Hey, hey. I don't know where that. Do you hear that music?
Right now?
Hey, hey.
I don't hear any music. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Right Spotlight. I'm your host, Kellen Ann.
I can hear you.
I said, I'm your host, Kellen Ann.
And I am the co host, Brian Monahan, and I have a major echo going on.
Oh, no.
Hey, Kellen, why don't you chit chat for a minute about what we're doing while I fix my echo for myself in the background, since I'm the tech guy.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Right Spotlight. This is the show where Brian and I decided we wanted to interview authors and find out their stories, their inspirations, and a lot of things that they wish they'd done differently so that you can learn from our mistakes. We had mentioned earlier when we thought we were live, but we weren't. we talked about the fact that I told Brian with maybe 3 days notice that I wanted to start a show interviewing authors, and he was amazing enough to pull it together. And then
two rookie mistakes, by the way. 2 rookie mistakes. I had the stream open in another window.
Oh, okay, cool. That's easy fix though.
Yeah. How do I sound? Do I sound okay?
You're perfect. And I was just saying how I was just starting to say how I called you at 9 o'clock this morning and said, let's do a best of.
Best of. And sorry, I haven't paid attention to lick of what you're saying when I fixed what was going wrong, but
it was just what we talked about the first time.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a rare time where the round 2 was worse than round 1.
I think we're fine, honestly. So I just gave the intro about how we like to interview authors who find out their inspirations and find out things that they wish they'd done differently so we can share that with our audience. And then I was just getting to the point where Brian is the master of getting your book done, because we never talk about ourselves during the show. So I'm like, we may as well do that today.
Yeah. I don't have a name for my business yet, but
we're working on that.
Yeah. It's coming soon. But my newsletter, The Right Time,
That's good.
really sums it up. It's the right time to start a book. 2024, right around the block. So, I know a number of you have it on not your bucket list, but your bucket list.
Oh, I love it. Your bucket list.
Yeah. So if you got a bucket list,
you got a book?
You're ready to write a book. You'll hear Michael Heppell later, but
yes.
And then, of course, I'm going to hand it back to Kellen Ann, the master of working with those published authors.
Yes.
Your book is ready. And what do you do for them?
I kind of help them get noticed, get them interviews on radio, television. One of my coups is Good Morning America. Excited about that. Anyway, so you get, I know you get Brian to help you get the book done, and then I help you get it to the right people. So in a nutshell.
Good stuff. And in between, you get to watch our podcast, and you get a little double dose, and some of our friends,
Yes.
We have some amazing friends.
We had some amazing interviews. I mean, talk about learning and what a great source for new authors or somebody that didn't even know they wanted to be an author. Mm-hmm. This show may turn them into one very easily. So,
yeah, I think we're going to go over an hour today because 16 people. I got 32 clips, 2 per episode, by the way.
I love it. And he pulled this together at 9 o'clock this morning, everybody.
I did. Well, I started about 8 a.m. But,
okay.
32
you must have had a premonition that I was going to tell you, hey, let's do a best of.
I kind of had an inkling, but yeah, I mean, but the question was, that we actually wake up on a Saturday morning for a live show and text each other. Are we going live?
And I said I'd brush my teeth, and you said you'd brush your hair.
How does it look? It all came out.
It's awesome. So I don't know how we want to start this. We had amazing, wonderful guests. We always at the end of our show, which is kind of cool. If you watch the individual episodes, the end has a nice little recap of what we found to be the most, the highlights of the conversations. But now we get to see a little tidbit of each of those interviews, which is going to be totally fun, and I'm going to love reliving them.
Yeah, and you probably don't remember the episodes by heart because you aren't going in and getting all the clips and naming them by order. And I have the benefit of my clips being named '01, '02, '03, so I
I
can tell
know.
you exactly which episode they appeared on and appear like I am totally, you know, just
Do
into.
not underestimate me.
You
I
got
have
your
my
hard
list.
copy. All right.
I'm still a
So,
paper girl.
are we going to go in order?
Oh, I don't
Like,
care. Let's just have some fun.
well, first off, I mean, I think we gotta give Jennifer Blake Glukow, uh, just thank you for getting us off and just infusing mega energy into our very inaugural episode.
I know. Here's the book we talked about.
212. I think I actually have a clip that talks about why she chose
The
that book.
significance of the 212.
Yeah, I think I downloaded that one, so we'll see what happens there.
Okay.
But she shared, like all of our guests, they're not just authors. They have stories to tell. They have their things that they share with the world to bring them joy. I mean, we had relationship authors, we had business entrepreneurial authors, we had productivity, we've had children's, just a little bit of everything. So
I know it was a little smattering of everything.
So, I did my best to grab a combination of clips, not just like their book tips, but
Right.
we'll see what happens. By record, we're looking for sponsors, and I used Opus Clip, Opus AI, to create these clips on the fast. So I was able to pull off 32 clips in less than
An hour.
an hour, which was simply ridiculous. And they're great. And
What's great about you is that I literally brush my teeth, turned on my computer. Hey, everyone. And you did all this work. So everybody, he's amazing.
Well, I mean, for the record, Kellyanne brought us the bulk of our author guests this year. So, you work that in the background, and we're a team effort. We
are. We're a great team.
When it comes to, we're kind of flip flop when it comes to the podcast. Like on the podcast, you do the front work, you get the people signed up, and get them on the show, and then I finish it off, and polish it up, and put it up on the screen. So
we are a great team.
So yeah, and then
next year, oh my gosh, I've got January booked and part of February, which I don't think I've even told you about yet. So we'll have a meeting afterwards.
No doubt. I mean, I don't even, I gave you access to my calendar. I have no control of it anymore, and
apparently I gave you access to mine.
I know. I'm not going to mention what I saw on your calendar.
It was the best message I got all day. I'm like, how did he know about that? Okay, let's bring out our first memory.
All right, let's go ahead before I actually mention what calendar appointment I saw. Let's hear from Jen here.
Yes.
And I felt that in order to have a more thriving speaking business, so to get more bookings and to charge higher prices, I needed a book to differentiate myself. And I had a lot of things to say about sales and selling and personal development. And I felt like if I wrote a book, it would do two things. It would help me grow my speaking business, and it would help me impact more people.
Wow.
That's what it's done for her. I mean, she's a world-renowned speaker now, and she definitely lives by her words. That's for sure.
No, what I love what she mentions there is, I think it's about the word author in itself is, it's the root of authority. And so, if you have a speaking business, a coaching business, whatever your business is, if you can write a book that ties into it, it's a really, just powerful asset for your personal brand. And, Jen's done it better than some others, obviously. But she definitely walks a talk.
Yeah, totally.
Did you want to catch her other clip?
Yeah, let's do it.
Barrel right through these.
Yeah.
And then when I started to write the book, I realized I had already created all this content. So I was able to pull from the blog posts and pull from the scripts. I still had to edit them and make them reader friendly, but I had a foundation.
I think that's one thing that a lot of people who want to write a book miss, is that they already have the content. They're already writing it. That's the best content, not something you're making up brand new when you're writing. So I love that's how you went about it.
I love from the marketing standpoint of it, you chose the 212, the metaphoric meaning of it, the boiling temperature, the area code of New York. I mean, what a great marketing.
Thank you. I wanted it to stand out. So 212 is the area code of New York City phone numbers. And as Kellen said, the boiling point of water.
Perfect.
Wow.
I love it when it has a meaning, it's like, and I don't think people realize the thought that goes into the title of somebody's book. I mean, there's a lot of thought, and I think people think, oh, it's just the title of the book is 212 pages of real world, but really there's this deeper, more sometimes metaphorical meaning to it. So, which I think I love finding that out.
No, I think, actually one of the next clips one of the authors talks about what led him to the name of his book as well. And so, perfect timing. I didn't try that. I'll give Opus AI or, a future sponsor of the Right Spotlight. I mean, you aren't committed yet, but I mean, go for it. Let's see what we can do here. I just bought 3,600 minutes of clips, by the way. So,
oh, geez.
So we only used up like 14 of 60 hours. So we're in good shape. We got next year covered.
Nice.
But no, so I mean, I think, as you talk to most authors, there's hidden meetings and everything, or not even always hidden meetings, but I think that's what makes it fun. Another thought on that is, we want to try to put everything into a book, and we got to cut it off somewhere. And I think having those little things allow you to like allude to a topic without having to write a whole chapter on 212.
Right.
And it makes great podcasts.
It makes great interviewing info too.
Yeah. So I was like, what's the story behind that? So think about that if you're writing your book.
Yeah.
So do you want Geoff Woliner, guest number 2?
Oh, yeah. He was number 2. You are going in order. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I am. I mean, that's going to be the easiest thing since the clips are all loaded up in order. And I named them that way. But Geoff, a good friend of mine from the live event industry, he is a comedian, an author. He trains people on how to have more wit in their writing. He actually has a business where he helps, like best men write their best men and best women write their speech, father the bride. So, he really brings it to a very practical application. And then of course he's, written his books on a variety of topics that aren't necessarily about comedy. He kind of got into a deep spot in his life over COVID, and shares a little bit about that in his book or in our interview. So why don't we hear from Geoff?
And then when I started to write the
whoopsie.
About a year and a half ago, I had this awakening, if you will. I felt like a near life experience, but I suddenly had this kind of revelation, and this word came to me called perfectia. It's the perfect, So the idea was write a book that basically describes what I was experiencing. It's about how do we, while we're having this human experience here, how do we walk each other home? How do we show that kind of divine spark, that luminosity, when life is at its most difficult? And then how do we get to the other side while ferrying each other there? And this one's truly my baby of all of them.
Amazing.
Yeah. Quite an interview with Geoff. He shared a lot of deep things.
Oh, yeah. I think that was one of our most profound therapy sessions.
Yeah. The thing about it was that, Geoff, we have another comedian we actually interviewed, and we'll get to him in a minute. But what's funny is they were kind of like the deepest people that we met with.
Philosophical, very in tune with their inner spirits, and
it's like, I guess, the depth of probably what their inner world requires them to add all that comedy to overcome.
Exactly.
because we have Steve Rizzo we meet with later. But Geoff had another nice little comment about what else did he share about his book? Oh, if you everybody's probably familiar with The Onion and the satire of The Onion.
Right.
Well, Geoff's LinkedIn feed is pretty much satire. He writes a daily piece that's kind of like The Onion, and he makes fun of LinkedIn essentially, and the world, and influencers and creators, and just anything that's kind of crazy with today's world. So
My kind of
definitely
guy.
go out and check out. It's Geoff Woliner, GeoffWoliner. Go check him out on LinkedIn as well. But he has a credential next to his name.
Oh, that's right. Forgot about that.
I wanted to learn more about this credential, so let's see if I can find that. All right.
Ah, there you go. I love it.
It's the Holy Roman Empire of Mains.
So you're talking about credentials. I was asking you before the show. I was like, "What's a CPCM?" By the way, Geoff. I mean, are you going to share that, or is that?
If I can, man, that's the great secret. Well, I mean, okay, real talk here. We're live, right? We have an audience.
Live. Yeah, we are live.
All right.
Only here on this show. It's going to be revealed.
Okay.
Right.
It stands for whatever you want it to stand for. It literally means nothing. It is a perpetual troll of the credential obsessed world that we live in. And anybody who would ever say, like, I think you're impressive because of your CPCM is just straight up outing themselves. And I love it. I am just so amused by it.
See what I said about being intelligent?
Well, you can see at least I am a pretty transparent person.
That was awesome. I almost wanted to make up a credential for myself. It would have to have a P in it, though. I think something to do with a pug.
Well, let's check in with our guests. If you're listening out there, go ahead and drop a comment.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to say that at the beginning. If you're listening, please let us know where and make a comment. And if you're listening to us on the replay, also let us know about it.
I mean, this is kind of uncomfortable. Hi, Michelle. I'm sorry I stole your co-host position in the reboot of Candidly Speaking with Kel and Shell. Now,
well, what's cool is if you're gone or sick, she can always step in for you, or me.
Woohoo! Kel, Shell, we're going to need you next year, okay? The only problem is she's going to want you to show up with 32 video clips. Be careful. Okay?
Oh, God, yeah, no. I'll show up with 32 pieces of paper is what I'll show up with. And look at one of our guests is here also, Phil.
Coach Phil. Love Phil. You. Thanks for stopping in. And, Coach Phil definitely knows the power of, a credential, CPCM. He is probably our most credentialed person we know. Yeah, we're not trolling you, Coach.
No.
But yeah, he knows how to have fun with things. So thanks for stopping by, Coach.
We have clips of him coming up in 2 people.
Mm-hmm. Michelle says, as long as I don't have to write a book,
okay.
You're not going to get out of it.
That's a deal.
No, you're writing a book.
She's written manuals, which is also writing. She's written HR manuals or something like that. But
I think you're going to be in my beta course, Michelle. I mean, you are the queen of courses. So yeah, you're going to have to take my course next year.
Yep. She's the queen of LinkedIn strategy. I'll tell you that.
Yep. She's just a natural when it comes to sales.
Mm-hmm.
She knows how to create relationships, build, just provide value, and just wonderful person.
Maybe we'll just have her on for the heck of it.
Yeah.
It's riveting. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Do we want to go see Coach Phil's video since we got him here?
Yeah, if you can go skip ahead.
Yeah,
because we'd be skipping 2 people, but.
All right, let's see if I can find Coach Phil here.
Talk about bundle of knowledge.
I'm looking for CP in my initials, but it's PG, of course. That's why I couldn't find him.
I'm R. Get it?
All right. I want to hear from Coach Phil.
Coach Phil.
And so if I like you, Coach Phil, and I like the way you think, I'm probably going to like the people you read and the people that you follow. So I think that's a value proposition to me to come and look at what you're saying and saying, well, who does Coach Phil follow? I know Lou Tice is one of your mentors and somebody that you know, so it's like, oh, I'm going to go read Lou Tice as well.
Mm-hmm. I did read Lou Tice after that. How about you?
Sorry, Coach Phil. I talked over you the whole time on that clip.
Well, that's AI's fault, not yours.
Yeah, let's see what we got here. Let's go ahead and get the other Coach Phil here. Here we go.
So we have a different kind of author with us today. But, like, Phil, what would
You're
you
getting
call
better.
What would you call your authorship style? I mean, it's not a physical book that we hold, but I downloaded it. I'm like, holy wow, this is a great book.
Yeah, it's an education kind of book in talking about some things that people don't know. It's the concept of it could be called The Way to Wealth, which Brian Tracy has a series of books on. Other companies, organizations would call it the 5-step profit formula. But what it's all about is helping people identify 8 strategies to leverage and really compound their activity in terms of running their business, like more leads, higher conversion rates, proper pricing, all those kind of things, bundling, upselling, and don't discount.
Yeah, I think Coach Phil is the episode that we identified that we were basically stealing free consulting and coaching on our show.
Yes, I think that was the one.
We were like, what does he charge an hour? Because this is working out pretty much in our favor right now.
Actually, the last 1, 2, 3, 4 months have worked out in our favor in a very good way.
Yeah, I mean, we should add up the value of what all of our guests' individual hourly rates are and put a total on our show, total show value.
It would be a lot.
Quite a value.
But yeah, Coach was amazing.
Coach is just a rolling index of tips, ideas for being great at life, living your best life, obviously entrepreneurship and running a business is his strength.
He lives by his coaching. I mean, what he coaches, he does, and he is highly successful. I mean, he's living proof of his whole concept and his whole theories, and it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so Coach, you know, you and I know Coach from our COVID group, Mega Mind, and you know, many of us have been like checking off the list with IRL, and the Coach found himself in Cincinnati this year, and I met with him. We met up for what was going to be a few minutes, turned into about an hour and 20 coffee. And it was a big week. He was like inducted into the Hall of Fame, I believe.
I got this huge award. Speaking of awards,
I'm sorry, Coach, I can't remember the
award, but it was like one of the highest.
Drop the title in there. So
yeah, tell us what it is again.
But you know, the Coach, Coach Phil, it's just an absolute pleasure to meet him. You know, it's been a joy knowing him online, but when I met him in person, it was just, you know, infinitely, you know, it's like, wow. This guy is amazing. So
well, he's going to be back next year, and I will meet him next year, even if I have to drive 6 hours, like I would have the last time.
Yeah, there was we had some travel mishaps and timings and things like that, but it worked out good because you actually brought it to my attention. Coach Phil was going to be in Cincinnati, so I was able to meet with him.
Yeah.
I also give a shout out to Coach Phil. He adopted the Bengals whenever the Seahawks are out of you know. So right now, I think he's still rooting. I think the Seahawks are still in the chance, but Bengals are on the border as well. But you know, maybe I did see some predictions of a Seahawks Bengals Super Bowl, so that'd be kind of cool.
That could be interesting.
So, Coach, we'll see what happens. I'll let you keep your team during that time. So
that's very kind. You're very kind. Okay, who we got next? Are we gonna do Cynthia?
Let's hit Cynthia up. She was woo.
Talk about energy. I was exhausted after that interview, and I'm high energy.
I wish we would have recorded the entire time with her, because our pre and post show were just as good as the show.
I have one book here. Here, the Brian Tracy Award for Sales Excellence and Mentor of the Year and Certified Master Business Coach. Oh, that's a mouthful.
And a guest on the Right Spotlight.
And a guest on the Right Spotlight.
Woohoo! Yeah, like we said, we got access to some pretty serious heavy hitters in the industry, various industries. So.
In their industries, huh?
And international too.
Yes.
Yeah,
that was fun, our British invasion, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, Coach Phil was really the head of our British invasion, even though he's Canadian.
No, Barry was actually.
Coach Phil was ahead of... Coach Phil originally from Britain, I believe.
That's true. He's from England.
Yeah, so
okay.
He was actually our first...
So he would have been our first international. Well, he was our first international because he's from Canada.
Yeah.
I always say Canada. It drives my daughter crazy.
Canada.
Yeah.
All right, so who we want to see next? We want Cynthia. Let's hear
fun book.
Let's hear from Cynthia.
So how would you equate gratitude in your success of everything that you've done?
Since I became more grateful for every little thing, all this great stuff has been happening to me. I mean, really grateful.
Like genuinely
really grateful. Yes, I have always felt that I was a person that brought joy to others because I've always been loving and kind and went on my way to help people who I thought were not being celebrated in the workforce. Thinking kind thoughts about people who did not treat me well in the workforce.
Right.
And just on the street, the mailman, the people in the grocery store, just that kindness. So I've always been that, but it's grown now.
Gratitude is big in my world. I know it's big in your world.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's hard to get to go exactly where we were in that interview, but if you look at our faces, it's like we were feeling her,
Yeah.
It's like I was feeling her gratitude. It was, she's definitely there. And, I think that's a lot of what people capture in their books as well.
Hers was, and hers wasn't like, hers was a fiction. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just fun, lighthearted. I told her it was a break for my brain because, we read a lot of self-help, business, just a lot of work stuff, and have something like that, just something to give your brain a break. That's what I told her. It was like a break for my brain. I loved it. It took me to a different place.
Yeah, we probably had, I think we had 2 to 3. I know Geoff shared some fiction. He's done some nonfiction as well. And Cynthia, she enjoys the fiction. She's got some other books coming out as well. She's kind of gone some different routes with hers. Tied in with some publishers that are help promoting her.
Yeah.
I have to go back and watch the full episode to, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pull those details.
Yeah, no. I just remember that we, all of our authors have different choices and experiences with the publishing. So if you get a chance and you can listen to them, I highly suggest it because there's some really great tips. It might help you figure out which route you should take as well.
All right, another little clip from Cynthia.
Of course, every writer has pieces of themselves in the book. Yes, it's a fiction book. You take liberties. And you go into your imagination and go to that little seed down there and go, and it just blooms like a flower, like oyster, the little seed that's in your heart. And it's a pearl.
It's like the piece of sand that gets put into the clay or the oyster.
And so you got your little seed and then your piece of sand, and then all that life stuff happens to you. Layer and layer and layer and layer, and some of it's good and some of it's not so good, and some of it's really not so good, and you just keep polishing it up and getting better, and you become writers just like Brian, Kellen, and I.
What was your was there an inspiration? Like all of a sudden you're like, I have all these successes, I'm amazing in my career, I'm gonna be an author.
That was Cynthia right there at the end.
I know.
That summed her up.
Oh gosh.
That's the only thing about this little AI. You gotta go in and clean them up. They sneak in like an extra little, like a little comment on the next sentence.
I think it adds depth and character to our show.
No, it's fun. I mean, it's crazy that you can just do this stuff too. I mean, I know that's one of the topics we have cover is, using technology to your benefit. Michael
Yep.
Heppell shares a couple tips later on about technology and writing and things like that. But
now our next person, you got her to the finish line in how many days?
we were about 90 days. Yeah. And another one of the, you and Cynthia Cindi have a lot. Cindi and I are chatting. We're connected on LinkedIn, and
I went and met her in person.
I know you. I
She's
figured
amazing.
you guys would be like fast, furious friends in their time.
And she texts me still like, have a great day. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And I'm like, gosh, she's so nice.
So why don't we let her tell the story of how we met? So
yeah, I mean, this is one of the real powerful stories of social media and LinkedIn. But Cindi Cohn, our guest, who's coming on here shortly, she and I just randomly connected. We had some common event industry contacts. We have some common authorship and content creator contacts, and we were just like, hey, we should catch up. And we got on the call, and Cindy's like, Brian, I need to write a book, and I want to get it done by my 52nd birthday. Her 38th birthday. Okay. Her 38th birthday, or was it 29? I don't know, 29. But, and I go, okay, when's your birthday? Oh, in 3 months. I go, you want to write a book in 3 months?
She did.
So, yeah, I mean, here's how it works. You just call me up and say, give me a very short timeline, and we just get it done.
It's just like what I do to you.
I know. But, once again, I stole the show. So let's hear from Cindi.
Of course, every writer has pieces of themselves in the book.
Cynthia.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the real powerful stories.
Honestly, y'all, he has changed my life. Hi. I'm super proud of actually my second book, the one that just came out a few weeks ago, the Planner Journal, because I keep getting a ton of text with screenshots of people writing in it and what they're saying, how it's changing their life.
You write the book hoping you will affect one person in a good way, right?
Exactly.
But then when you get multiple, it's like, yes, that's really.
I knew it would, because it's literally my morning routine. The journal planner. It's like I tested it already. Yeah, I love how you also do it with your family, Brian.
Yeah, I know. This is actually Megan. I can't open it up because the front pages, because I gave it to my wife Megan, and my daughter Ella has a copy as well. And we're doing it as a family.
First comment though, we've never had more hair encapsulating the screen at one time on our show. You guys completely filled the window with hair.
Oh gosh. Our friend Mark Rodriguez is here.
Woo-hoo. Let me see.
Yay. He's a new grandpapa. He's got the most beautiful grandbaby now. Oh my God.
Host that wows. Woohoo.
That's me. Oh, the slow motion bread machine. I'll tell you about that later. That is actually really funny. Oh.
Of course, Coach Phil. Thank you.
Thanks,
it is
Coach
a great
Phil.
idea. This is a blast recapping the season. So
okay, our next one is also a Megamind friend of ours that we met during the pandemic. If we're going,
hold on a second.
oh yeah, Michelle. Between Michelle, Cindy, and I, we'd have the hair thing over.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that definitely is on call. So
there wouldn't be enough room on this screen. The whole thing.
Yeah, we did abandon the hair product conversation and the reboot of Candidly Speaking with Cal and Shell.
Yes.
Being my hair is very limited. All right, who's up next?
We have Alan.
All right. Ooh, we got.
Wait. I don't know if we talked about this book or if we talked about his Survive a Shooting.
We talked about a lot of them.
Yeah,
but I didn't have any clips on those. I do have some clips about what he does, which I think.
Yeah, let's talk about that because he's amazing. 5th degree black belt, ex-Army sniper. He trains in self-defense. He's got this great newsletter and a morning show every morning at 10 o'clock with safety. And
I believe these are some tips here, this clip here.
You know, we were talking about it one day, and he's like, Alan, 10 years ago, I would have told you, yeah, you need to get the agent, get it published. Today's world, you can self-publish it yourself and move on to your next projects.
I
so
love
I sort of
that.
like, as I'm waiting for agents and I'm corresponding and doing all this, I'm like, I'm going to self-publish this and get on to my next project.
mm-hmm.
And that it was self-published. And again, if I would have gone through an agent, got a big New York, publisher, it probably would have changed some. It would have been a little different, maybe a little better editing. I will honestly say that my editing probably isn't as good as a professional editor, but I still think the story stands. And
Right.
it's a story. And I really think it ought to be made into a movie, because when I wrote it, that's what I was thinking, is this would be a good buddy vigilante justice movie. We were talking about it one.
Oops. First off, he has to be in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's an extra in Yellowstone and a bunch of he's played part in a movie. I mean, he started out just being extras, and he's like getting cast into these like small movies, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, he hit on one of my, just favorite subjects, which is, don't wait to get published. I mean, it's kind of a booby prize in today's world,
Right.
unless you're like Barack Obama or Oprah Winfrey or, somebody that's already got a following.
Right.
You're going to do the marketing. You're going to lose rights to some of your content and
ancillary products and.
Not to say, do your research. There's many paths, but, we did learn about hybrid publishing, which is a little bit of a mix between self-publishing and publishing. And I think that's a good model for those who want a kind of done for you service. But,
Right.
I love what Alan had to say about that. And I love that he was just really frank about it too. Like, hey, they could probably edit this better than me, but he thought it was more important to get it in the hands of the people who he thought would want to read his story. So.
I totally agree.
See,
Okay.
And then he's got some very practical tips for us too. Let me see if I can find that clip. Let's see.
We were talking about it one day.
Let's go to this one.
Maybe this was just my way of getting a fantasy out that I'd like to be a vigilante killer of the scumbags that are trafficking kids. I mean, that's what the book is about.
Right.
The law doesn't take care of the child traffickers, so Ben Baker calls up an old army buddy, and they take care of it with their other skills, which I sometimes wish would happen with these scumbags. And so I got to live that revenge and vigilante justice part of me out in a novel rather than actually going and doing it.
And it also saved you a lot in anger management there.
I was looking, I thought I'd download the clip of his tips for being at a theme park.
Oh, yeah.
But you can see the diverse energy of Alan there, which is vigilante and protect your kids at the theme park.
He's the gamut. But you know what? I would not mess with him.
No, absolutely not.
I remember during our meetings, our group meetings, we're afraid of him, even though it was a Zoom call.
Yeah, it's good to have a
But
guy
he's
like
one of the
Alan in your
nicest,
network.
kindest people I've ever met. So don't get me wrong. We're not really afraid of him. I just wouldn't want to be his enemy. That's all.
Yeah, Alan's got his travel tips site. You go out and find him. Go
Yeah.
visit our sites. We'll get you connected. One of these days.
Yeah, we're gonna do a lot of work on our website so that you can get these books and get links to their blogs. And there's a lot of great information out there that we're giving to you guys. Okay, are we ready?
Let's go to Mr. Rizzo. Ooh,
He's one of my faves.
that
I know
was
I'm not
fun.
allowed to have favorites, but
All right, let's go.
People are broken and they don't know what's wrong. And you can't fix it. They just know something's not right. And this is the way life is. Life isn't right for me. Everybody else has and apparently I don't deserve it.
Yeah.
My life isn't working. Right. But then you go, why? That's the first question. And then you start investigating why, and you will be surprised on how the answers just come. They just come. And you go, holy shit, that's how it happened. Oh my God, that's how it happened.
That's the one where I felt we needed to pay him for therapy, like a big time.
Yeah, that was probably the deepest show we did this year.
I think so.
It was funny as shit. And,
Yeah. Before the show was funny as hell too.
Mm-hmm.
We can't talk about it.
No, I think we did talk about it on the show, but we're not.
But not as graphic.
But yeah, it was it just his book Conversations with Bob, so many stories were just so like at his darkest days, and
it's such a great, like, it's a book you can read any chapter. You don't have to read it front to back. You can just open it up and just, sometimes you open it up to the page that is, affects you in the best way. And his story, the whole thing I remember most about him was in, the process, embracing and being in the process, and, not just rushing through to get things done. He was very, very, very thoughtful and very slow in putting this one out. He did not rush because he knew that he just kept getting messages. So,
yeah. The other thing, unfortunately, AI did not pick up his comedy for whatever reason. AI is pretty serious. So I was hoping to get some clips of him doing Looney Tunes characters, but
you guys can watch the show for that.
Yeah. I mean, he did probably about 7 or 8 different characters through the show. Oh, Gilbert Gottfried. AI does not know what to do with Gilbert Gottfried. So, no. I mean, I think it was just like, what?
AI went, huh?
Affleck.
Oh my God.
All right, Affleck, we are taking sponsors, by the way.
Yes.
Okay, let's hear another one.
Start writing. Don't get caught in the trap. Don't worry about organizing. Don't worry about chapter 1, chapter 2. Don't worry about a title. Don't worry about anything, because all of that can change as you're writing anyway. Just write your feelings. What are you feeling right now? Answer yourself. I'm feeling this. Write it. And keep writing and keep writing and keep. But the biggest mistake that people make, and this is the thing that keeps them from writing, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Step 1 is start writing. You can't do anything else until you start writing, because that'll just keep you in a trap.
Everybody said that.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody.
Yep. Yeah, first off, Steve, sorry I put the words over the top of your face. I can't do anything about that. The AI did it automatically for anybody else. I can fix that later, but that takes work. So,
and I didn't give him any time.
I know. I mean, if you're going to do 32 clips in an hour, you're going to have some words over faces. But yeah, Steve definitely hit on. We have that. I need to go find that little clip out of every single video and have them just start, and just have all 16 people say that. So
yes, that would be cool. That can be your project after we're done here.
No, stop.
Okay. Then don't give me the idea.
All right. You guys just give me a deadline. We're going to do that at 3:00 this afternoon, Brian.
Yes. Next, we have Betty.
Oh, Betty.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Debbie. I kept calling her Betty. And I have her saved in my phone as Betty.
Well, when your last name is Bettendorf, tied with Debbie.
She said somebody else had called her Betty too, and she thought it was funny. I'm like, it just came out Betty, and I'm like, what the hell?
I didn't need an actual publisher. I just really needed this company I used. They were so amazing to me. And I did shop a lot of other people, and they give you enticing packages where they can do this for you and they can do that for you, but it's going to cost you. And I let Debbie know, what are you doing this? Why are you doing this? It's not like I want to sell 1 million copies. It would be great if I did, but that wasn't the goal. The goal was to do it for myself. I said I was going to do it, and I did. And by doing that, it gave me confidence to do all the things I'm doing now.
That's great advice. I like that her book is like a different format. It's handwritten, it's typed, it's so artful and fun.
Yeah, I love the story she shared on the podcast where she sent in her scans of her stuff, and the graphic designer is like, "Would you like me to clean these up and make them more graphically appealing?" And she's like, "No."
Ew. And thank goodness she didn't.
She goes, "I want to capture the energy of how I wrote these." And so, yeah, it's a very interesting book. I got it down here somewhere. I'm not going to grab it. That's why you were in charge of gathering the books for the show.
I got it right here.
I'm still looking for my bookshelf to put behind us to put everybody's books on, but I'm not quite there.
We got next year. There's no rush.
All right. New season next year.
If you've ever considered writing a book, and I do it. Just do it. It doesn't have to be perfection. Just do it for yourself. It's very cathartic. You learn a lot about yourself in the process. And Kellyanne had also, she and I had talked yesterday, and she said, did it open doors for you?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer to that is 100% yes, including what I just mentioned. Because I went through this process, someone suggested to meet Mindy Dreyer, who, it's just, you meet people. And I met her, and now we're friends, and she wrote my foreword. And then after the book was published, I was asked to be on podcasts. Mm-hmm. And then I met Ken Walls. He had me on. And then I was on his Amazon channel too.
She covered a lot of things. That's clip 2 of my Get Started Now.
Yes.
But she also, she hit on, just once again, that kind of like the authority that you get from writing a book.
It opens doors.
And it's like, it's still the gold standard for branding. It's personal branding. I always say this: when a keynote speaker goes on stage, if they've written a book, it will almost always include, and the author of Customer Delight 365.
Exactly.
And Kellyanne, the author of Wagmore, Life Lessons Learned from Observing My Grumble.
Oh, look at us. Look at us giving street creds.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what a book's about. It gives you cred. And in today's social media world where things just roll away into oblivion, being able to pick up this hard copy, it kind of sticks around. It's hard to throw away a 1-inch thick book.
It is, especially with a cute little pug on the front, right?
I know. Definitely.
Okay, so this was the guest that gave us love advice.
I know. This was kind of awkward, but yeah.
Well, I needed it more than you.
Well, I mean, he did focus on people who are looking for love, but there a lot of what you do to look for love also applies to marriage. So
right, and it's about relationships, whether it's a friendship, a boyfriend, girlfriend, a husband and wife.
Let's hear from Barry Selby.
The thing I said recently, I think it was actually the show I was on with you the other day, is that we have sex education in school, but not relationship education.
Right.
So we don't learn relationship skills in any formal way. And all we really learn from is by watching our parents, which can be a good thing or a bad thing.
Or a bad thing, yeah.
Yeah, we become students of what our parents are teaching, not formally, just totally like offhand, unconsciously, because we live around our parents when we're kids and we go, well, that must be the way it is. And so it becomes the logic we program ourselves with. We will tend to repeat the same patterns because it's what we think love is supposed to be like, which isn't always a good thing. I mean, we all have parents that have taught us something that may not be the perfect thing. Well, the thing is, I mean, that's the other thing is that we oftentimes, for those who have been single, I've been single quite a while, so I know this definitely, watching other couples, we start getting jealous, thinking, oh, they look great. But you know what's going on behind closed doors.
Ain't that the truth?
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's definitely not always what it looks like on the outside.
Or what it looks like on Instagram.
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, Barry definitely was... the cool thing is he's just so deep. I mean, he's really studied this. There's a lot of people who write about these kind of things, and they're a little bit, I consider to be more like, I don't know, flashy, not very deep with this. But he's really been just studying this, honing it. I also think...
I think a lot of it's from his experience, too. I mean, he's lived it. So...
Yeah, and he applies it to his own life. He even shared some what his like non-starters were for a relationship on the show.
Right.
So he was already turning some people away. Now, of course, we also, we need to hire him to be our introduction, at the end, beginning of the show. I think he had the best voice of anybody on the show.
Oh, tell me about it. And he was the beginning of our British invasion.
Mm-hmm.
Like the real British invasion.
You want to hear another one from Barry? You can do 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, basically,
that'll be the start of your next book.
As I said before, is that my book started out as being a collection of just principles and ideas about relationships. I didn't plan on writing a book. I just had collected this 50, 60 principles I put on a Word document and didn't do anything with. And I spent about 3 weeks having a little voice in the back of my head, like I call it still small voice, saying, write a book, that I would totally ignore and suppress and argue with. And when I finally said, okay, how do I do it? It kind of showed me everything to do. The thing is, when I wrote the book, it was actually very easy when I got in the flow and got out of the way. That was one piece. Second piece, though, was once I finished writing the book, I got absolutely scared and put it away for a year. The thing is, that fear was unnecessary. The book was worth doing. So I guess my advice is 1, trust yourself. 2, don't be afraid, because if you got a good idea, it's going to land. And 3, be willing to let the ideas flow.
I forgot that he put it away for a year.
Yep. And he ties into something that Jen shared is, you already have a lot of the content already available for your book. If you've been writing a newsletter, articles, doing speeches, you already have a message. Just a book, just a different delivery of it.
Are you ready to talk about that book?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about Mr. Heppell.
He's another one of my faves.
I know. I think the hardest part of being an author is actually signing your own books. It's the hardest part, because you have to bring them in, physically work with them, and it's not, Amazon's made it so easy that you can actually just. So it can be a challenge, obviously.
Yeah. My record for signing books is I once did close to 4,000 in a day.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were doing a big event, and when you're a speaker, a great thing to do is to say, would you like to have books for the people in the audience? Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. And I always used to say, would you like books? I'll sign them. And when it was smaller events, 200-300 people, it's fine. It's exciting. Mm-hmm. And we were doing this really big event at the International Conference Center in Birmingham. And somebody said, oh, your books, can you do us a deal? I was like, yeah, I'll give you my author's discount.
Yeah, this is like our typical show. This is scripted in that we have somebody leave the show for a little bit. But yeah, I'm happy to roll with this. But yeah, I love the thing Michael Heppell talks about. I think he said 4,000 books. He talked about a time where he had an assembly line and there was like 4 people. One person opened it, another person slid it, he signed, they took it, handed it to the next person. And, just definitely I'm not interested in signing 4,000 books in a sitting. That is not anything I am going to do anytime soon. I'm going to go ahead and...
Sorry.
Oh, you're back.
I had a dog fight. I'm sorry.
No, you had to go to the bathroom.
No, that was that. I got another 10 minutes before that. Sorry about that, though. Oh, gosh. Did I miss the second one?
No, we're going to play that right now. Let's see.
Can you hear that?
No. I think the hardest part of being an... let's see if I can... There we go.
So books are so accessible. Long after I've gone, people will still have a copy of 17 on their shelves, which I think is just a glorious thing. Long after Team 17, the group goes, and one day it will. I'm conscious of that. Nothing lasts forever, but a book will. I think that's great.
I always like to say...
Oh, go ahead.
I always like to say it's fun that, to think about it, your book actually makes it into somebody's bedroom on their nightstand. I mean, how personal can you get there? So, I mean, it's there looking at you, so if you can get something into somebody's bedroom, you're definitely building trust, right?
That's so awesome. It's the truth though, right?
Yep. And Michael's definitely another one of those episodes you want to go back and watch from start to finish.
Definitely. I have watched it. I'll be
Yeah.
working and I replay some of them and I just go, wow, that was really good. I missed that. That was really good.
Well, while you're at it, edit them, okay? Go ahead and grab some clips while you're watching.
I can make notes.
Yeah, make some notes of the good ones, the clips, so I can hunt them down. Because that's the hard part of editing, is actually finding the content. It's like a needle in a haystack.
So. I don't know. AI did really well, I think, on this. I mean, I'm really impressed.
Well, what's interesting is it actually gave me 8 or 9 clips per video, and it rated them with like a percentage of what they thought was the better clips. And
wow.
On average, the top 3 or 4 were the ones I picked from. Only occasionally did I pick the lower ones because I was hunting for a topic. All right, number 11, guest 11 on the show.
Sarah? Was that Sarah?
Yeah, it was Sarah. It was
great. Children's book about adoption.
Yeah.
I mean, how important, for you to do this book in a format that is friendly, family, fun, colorful. I mean, we're going to talk about character development a little bit too. I have that on my list. But I mean, what a gift that you've given to other moms and dads and people that are even contemplating, and for the children, for them to have something that's fun and not scary, to look at as a reference. And then we can talk about the legacy you've just left for.
Yeah, it's lovely. It is so lovely because, as you say, I think originally I wrote it for my son, and that was only my goal, to do something to make him understand his journey a bit better, understand his story a bit more, allow me to sit with him and talk it through.
Yeah, I mean, just such important work.
And then that brought us to where we decided we want to interview other than authors. We want to talk about parts of your writing your book process, the illustration, the editing, and I've got that planned for next year too, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to be meeting with all those different little parts, those vendors of authors. Exactly. I don't know. We got to come up with a better term.
No, just little helpers.
Little helpers, little book helpers.
The favorite part would be seeing my son hold the book. Most definitely. I mean, I was very excited, and the unboxing video that I did was one of the first ever unboxing videos. I danced around my kitchen. Well, very excited about it, and yeah, it was quite a wow moment for me. But for my son to have the book and to see his face was again quite remarkable, really. And to sit down and read it to him was just very emotional. I can feel it now, just very emotional.
I remember I saw the video when she was dancing around the kitchen. It was so heartwarming. It really was.
It's kind of another one back to back. We followed up with Richard Thomas the next week, and just another element of a book that wasn't exactly a book,
Right.
It's it's got alternate, it's got pictures, it's got history.
It's got amazing history, especially if you like I call them trains, but I guess they're called the underground, what is it called in London?
Oh, the Tube. No.
The Tube, and I mean, it says on the front, transforming a picture into a story. And I honestly I have talked to him for hours, not on the show or anything like that, but just talking with him, and he's so knowledgeable and he's so eloquent. He's like truly the essence of eloquence, in my opinion.
And Richard, Cindi was the most hair on a show, but Richard was the most hats on a show.
So I walked onto the boundary, and I knew he was going to come over to me. So we had the conversation. And I said, I know what you're going to say. I can't take this picture because I'm standing on your property. He said, that's right. So what did I do? I walked back a step, lined up my camera, looked at him and says, I can take the picture now, can't I? Yes, he says.
That's so
Come on. Nonsense, absolute nonsense. Yeah. So sometimes you play the game and have a bit of fun.
That was a great conversation about like legality and things that you have to like pay attention to that you wouldn't think of normally.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that was quite an interesting, just the depth of copyright law, trademarks, all that stuff. I mean, I don't think you can even get to the end of the line. Pun, joke. That was the name of this book. But the other thing about Richard I loved is, he comes off as just this little sweet photographer guy, but he's quite a punk, He does not mind standing his ground, with his camera. So
not at all.
Let's hear a little what he has to say about following your heart.
Do what's in your heart. Do what you believe in. Take advice, take some guidance, but you know what you want to do. Do it. JFDI.
Love it.
Listen for the reason to do it, not for the reasons not to do it.
Because we come up with a lot of reasons not to do things that we really want to do.
I actually got 3 clips for Richard, and I picked this one because I thought it was another topic that was really a different publishing method. So I grabbed this. I think the crowdfunding is interesting too. Is one thing I see a lot of people do is they write their book, but they don't build out any type of pre-audience and so it can be very discouraging when you go through all this hard work and to have nobody there ready to buy your book. So the crowdfunding gives you a cheerleading squad, and I think it creates a community around your book in a way that maybe you won't have otherwise. So I highly encourage it for people who are getting started. I think it's like some people might say, like you said, it's professional begging, but really it's a positive for the process. It's not.
Yeah, I say professional begging.
I know.
Smile on my face. It's legitimate.
I mean, this is an amazing product.
All right, so another one of the clips where I stole the entire clip. I think AI knows I'm paying the bills. It said, "We're going to feature Brian."
I know, but what you said was what was his message. So it's not like, you're putting words in his mouth or anything. They pretty much were his words. So.
No, I think, what was interesting about it, as a picture book, it was more important for him to use a higher end printing process to feature his work appropriately. So he went a different route so he could get a book that was printed on high end paper and a model that, yes, you can have some nice books made on Amazon, but they're not going to do the justice of his work.
Exactly. So. His book is a quality I've never seen.
So he bought his books in advance, and he's selling them after the fact. And so,
which I think he still has a few left. So maybe we should put something in our comments.
Yeah, we'll drop some links here for everybody to all the different authors. I did tag everybody on the LinkedIn feed of this, so you can probably find them pretty easily in that comment. But yeah, recommend going out and checking out his book. Amazing quality there, and then his website as well has got a lot of the pictures to get a sense of what his book might be.
Yeah.
All right. Who else we got next? Number
Will
13.
Was Will our first pre-recorded?
He was.
No, Sarah was our first pre-recorded.
Oh, Sarah was. But did we record Phil before
Will?
Or Will before Sarah? I think
we recorded him before Sarah, but we ran him because we had him scheduled for the 25th. So
whatever it was, he was our first one scheduled.
Yeah. You can't hear that, can you?
The
dogs?
What is it?
The
No,
dogs?
I can't.
Okay.
No, I got echo cancellation on, probably.
Okay. I'm glad. Let's start thinking. Will Polston. I met him at the Michael Heppell event in London. He was one of the speakers, and his book just came out like right after the event. So this was like we were one of his first interviews, I think.
Let's hear from Will.
What was interesting was that when I was about 18, I stumbled across personal development. And the more personal development I did, the more money I made. I was like, this stuff I kept doing more and more personal development. And then one day I went to an event with sort of a personal development sort of legend, if you like, Tony Robbins, who many people would have heard of and know of. And it was 10 years ago this year that I had what I call my lightning moment. And bam, it just hit me. I cried my eyes out for about 15 minutes. Because in that moment, I realized my real driver was nothing to do with money. It had never really been about money. What it was really about was my dad and my perception that he hadn't achieved his full potential and the impact that had on him and my mum and me and my family and a whole host of other people. And I vowed in that moment, I don't want anyone else to go through the suffering that he went through and we went through as a result of them not achieving their full potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, Will, a lot of themes here, a lot of people's motivation, underlying message tracks back to childhood.
The why.
Yeah, the why. That's a good one. We'll have to dig into the why. Why did you write your book?
Everybody's done it though. It's like the common theme was the why and to write. To don't wait, just write. I mean, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, the why was generally either, disappointment, somebody telling you couldn't do something.
Yeah.
That's the best way. And that's why I told Michelle earlier, write that book. And she, don't write the book. Okay. You can't do it. Now she's got to write it.
And this is challenge accepted.
I don't know if that's to come on the show or to write the book. So,
both. I'm going to say both.
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't have a choice. We got the bully pulpit right now.
Yeah.
You agreed to writing a book. Well, you're gonna have to talk us out of it.
We'll just schedule her. She'll have no choice.
Right,
do you have another Will?
Yeah, it's a tip on writing a book.
So I'm gonna say set a deadline, because otherwise it can drag out and drag out and drag out. So give yourself some sort of deadline of when you're going to get your first draft done by, and just get it over to an editor sooner rather than later. The second thing is that, and this really held me back for a long time, is that, and it kind of links back to the deadline, is that if you're constantly learning, it will never be finished. So so that's why that deadline thing is really important. I'm going to say that as the one is have a deadline, and because I think that if you put that deadline in place, so much else can fall into place by having that. Put a deadline in place, use the power of Parkinson's law, which is work expands until the time of which you give it, and get that in the that, because so many of us, there'll be people listening to this going, I've always wanted to do that. One day. It can either be one day or day one.
Excellent point.
He's so knowledgeable. I mean, I was thinking he's so young to be so knowledgeable because I'm so old.
Stop that.
Seriously.
You're not old.
Well, maybe I just feel old. No, but he was so humble. Such a great guest.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of people that have kind of side theories about life, but he's definitely an expert at living a great life and how to execute on it. He actually, I can't remember the exact amount, but I believe there were 5 or 6 parts to his process. Very defined. You got the book there. Why don't you tell me?
Working. What I was thinking is that people usually emulate their parents, or they're the complete opposite of their parents. So he's he's an example of, I'm not going to let my parents define me.
Yeah, I also don't think he was doing, but he also wasn't I don't like my parents. He just was I saw what it did to them. And
it wasn't a hate thing or anything like that. Now, what did you ask me to look up?
How many parts? He had doesn't he have 5 stages or 5 something or other too?
There's breaking limiting beliefs, evolve your thinking, an attitude of gratitude, master your time, creating habits that stick, striving for success. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I didn't count those. We'll say 5.
Say 5.
All right.
5 books for me.
It's a great book. I remember, just how much is packed into that. It's a life's work in a book. So definitely go out and dig that one up. Let's see, who do we have for Ashley?
I think Ashley was.
Yeah.
He jumped in quick for us. That was nice.
Let's hear from Ashley.
But I found out he wrote a book, and I knew he wrote a book, but I'd completely forgotten about it because I'm like, oh my God, we have to have Ashley on because he did write a book. And that is the whole point of this show. Is we interview authors and we find out their journey and how they got there, why they decided to write a book, all that great stuff. So Ashley, thank you so much for being here.
No, this I was just saying to Brian, this is the first ever podcast live event, whatever you want to call it, that I've been invited on because I'm an author. And that is mind-blowing because I normally get asked to come and speak because I know a little bit about LinkedIn, but specifically asked on here because this is a show about authors, and I'm pinching myself. I am absolutely pinching myself. It's not, the honor's mine. So thank you so much for having me.
So, someday we knew him when he was we unleashed him. He's already huge on LinkedIn, but
he's another infectious energy. I mean, crazy infectious energy.
Yeah, I was noticing myself. I'm just smiling while he's talking.
I know.
It's just like total joy. That's not me. I don't get. Yeah, I'm pretty deadpan. I love his energy. In fact, if you go back, he actually, instead of us doing our normal intro, we went live to Ashley playing guitar, and that
was so cool.
We may have to hire him for
maybe a jingle or something,
like a lick from Ashley and Barry introducing us. So that's my idea.
Works for me.
Let's see. I think I got one more. Unleashing authentic. Let's see. Yeah.
But I think the thing is, we overthink what we write. If we were at a networking event right now, the three of us, we would be chatting about all kinds of things. We'd be talking about books. We'll be talking about the US. We'll be talking about the UK. We'll be talking about mince pies. Yeah, we might be talking about cruising. We might be talking about garages, whatever. But we'd find loads of stuff to talk about. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That would resonate with anybody. And it's just, you just write it up. But the other thing is we're here having a good old chit-chat. Do you use that term in the States?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So we're having a good old chit-chat. How many times do we have a good old chit-chat and we go, hang on a second, let me just think about what I'm going to say.
He's right, though, right?
Yeah, I guess at a networking event, there are some cheese balls that would show up and say, "Hi, I help people 9 out of 10 authors."
Somebody that actually uses an elevator speech.
Yeah. What would you be interested if I could save you 90% on your car insurance? They're gonna walk, they're gonna run. So why are you doing it on LinkedIn? Right. You okay?
I'm bleeding.
So I was like, what is going on?
I scratched my chin. Probably when I was shaving.
I didn't know if that was your marker.
No, I'm bleeding to death. If I
die. Should I call 911? If I say that out loud right now?
Yeah, I'm good.
We'll
sorry about that, though. I'm like looking on the screen. I'm like, what's that red?
I have you on my preview monitor and I can't, it's like it's kind of blown out a little bit. So I was like, is it just red the monitor, or is she bleeding?
I'm really bleeding. I don't know how. Anyway,
just go like this. Just hold it there.
I'm just gonna do this.
Yeah, there you go. We'll put
it's
a little
weird,
bit.
Though. I didn't have a scratch or anything, but
would you like to pause and get a Band-Aid, or?
Yeah, I'm good. It's still dry.
Right. Well, let's get moving here so that you can get some care.
Some emergency care.
Nope, you're one ahead of yourself.
Oh wait.
Well, we don't have Doug's book, I don't think.
No, I thought Doug was the 16th. No, we swapped. Okay, that's right. Okay.
I don't,
because Doug was pre-recorded.
Let's hear.
Because I was traveling. I was getting off of my car.
When my son was about, I guess, 10 or 11 years old, he caught a baby rabbit in the backyard. He brought it in the house and he named it Jasper. And the next day, we released it back into the backyard. And I looked at my wife and she thought I was crazy. I looked at my wife. I'm like, that's the idea for the children's book right there. I said, well, we can't have a kid go out in the backyard in the book, though. He's got to have to sneak in the house because otherwise kids will read the book and run out and try to catch a rabbit. So
yeah,
that all started. Yeah, it was just crazy.
Yeah. Well,
this was not funny.
Sorry, Doug. Sorry to take away from your beautiful story that you turned into a book.
I talked to him last week.
Really? Mm-hmm. Well, Doug, I'm going to give Doug a shout out. He has the most video views on YouTube of his episode. So
nice. Thanks, Doug.
Thanks for sharing it. I do believe he shared that with his network, and yeah, you got. But this episode will go down as the one with the most blood for this season.
I'm so sorry. I got dogs fighting. I'm like, I'm bleeding to death. I'm just gonna hold it, okay?
Let's see what else we had from Doug here.
Oh, we got more from Doug. Okay.
Yeah.
I can do this.
This is a little bit about some of the other elements of writing a book. There you go.
They supply you with like samples of 10 illustrators, and you get to pick which illustrator you want. And there were all kinds of illustrations with levels of detail and all that sort of stuff in the illustrations. And I knew going into this, it's what my audience was going to be preschoolers. So I wanted to keep this about as simple an image as I can, but still put a lot of things to catch their eye through the book. So it's real simple, cartoonish looking characters. Mm-hmm. And they do a great job. I mean, I told them right off the bat, and I said, I don't care what all the other critters look like, but that rabbit has got to be the cutest rabbit you've ever seen. It's good.
That's great. Yeah, I was going to pull up your book here just so that we could see what Jasper looks like here. Sorry, everybody, but if you go off to the episode, you'll get to see it.
Oh God.
A couple things about Doug that I really liked. One is Doug's retired from, I believe, the Air Force or the Army. Sorry, Doug. It probably was the Army. I think about it, but veteran. He's definitely, his book, some of his proceeds go to Veterans Group. Love that. And he purposely sought out a small community veterans group because he wanted to make sure it went to directly to the people helping. So that's the other thing that's fun about book. A lot of people push their proceeds and share the wealth of it. It's really more of a passion project than it is a make money project. So Doug, it just exemplifies that. And then, you think about this retired military veteran writing a children's book about a rabbit.
It's a cute story too.
Yeah. And then I was hoping to click, once again, AI does not like characters. There's a clip of him doing the voice of, voice changing into being the rabbit. And so, yeah, it was good stuff. Definitely go out and watch that episode. Doug cracked me up when he did his little rabbit voice.
Because it's hard to imagine. I'm like, he does a rabbit voice.
The other thing is, pair him up. If you're going to pair two episodes up, pair his and Sarah's up, two children's book, and they dig into a couple, just both of us were like, never thought about that. That
he did a hybrid publishing style too. I hadn't heard of it before. So
yeah, the other thing, he mentioned in his second book, he revised his characters' looks a little bit and things like that because he had promotional product made and it was hard to make the tail. I believe it was.
I saw the promotional product when I talked to him last week. It's amazing.
And so, yeah, I mean, just all these little, Sarah, if you go back to her episode, she had to hire interior designers to design the rooms for her characters. I'm just like, not in a million years would I ever thought of that. And
I know, me either.
and that the rooms, next time they come to that room in the book, it's got to have the same wallpaper and things like that. So super cool. And then we finished on like an absolute high note, like literally the highest note you could possibly end on. Rex Sikes.
Rex. He's
Live
amazing.
life on your own terms. Life on your own terms, and Rex definitely exemplifies that. Pure energy. I think he had so much energy, he was taking away the bandwidth from his feed. He's a little bit pixelated.
Yeah.
He was overcut. He was blowing out the feed because he was so much. He used up all the energy in the room. So let's hear from Rex. Let's see. Here we go.
If you're happy inside, and so happy that no matter what happens, it can't take your happiness, or it can't take your confidence, it can't take your security, it can't take your certainty, it can't take your authenticity, it can't take who you are from you, then you'll do the right things to get the things that you want, but you won't be attached to those things. So whether you have them or not doesn't really matter. What Napoleon Hill said was, of the 520 people that he modeled, most of them ended up in prison, jail, broke, insane, alcoholics, or committed suicide, and their families, their children, often suffered the same kind of fate. And the reason for that was because they wanted money so badly that they didn't seek peace or love or relationships or care or kindness or compassion or generosity, so that their lives were empty.
We heard that theme more than once too.
Yes, we did.
Money is really not, it doesn't deliver much. It's pretty hollow.
There's a country song, you can buy a boat, a truck to pull it, but that's just my life in Georgia, right?
Let's hear one more from Rex.
If you want to be the top skier in the world, you ski. And this is what people need to capture. And Napoleon Hill said, a small fire burns a little bit, but a big fire burns a lot. And people need to create that fire inside themselves and use that. Lastly, we're energy. And people will go, I don't have enough energy. No, you got plenty of energy. You're just not using it right. Point is, all there is in this universe is energy. And it expresses itself in what we call matter, and you and I. You've got more than enough energy to do anything you want and to make your life whatever it is that you want. You just haven't directed it yet.
Didn't you talk to him for like 20, 30 minutes after the show too?
Yeah, we definitely chatted for quite a while afterwards, and he's the energy you see on the show. And I honestly think he was bringing his internet connection down with this. I would say he had the most hand gestures of any show.
He taught us this.
He's like, fill up the screen with your body and talk, and
or double. He said to double your enthusiasm.
So I'm gonna have to work on that. That's one of my takeaways from that is
they're stuck in this little box here.
So yeah, I do have a stand-up Dex here, and I need to probably go to a stand-up when I'm on my show, because it definitely gives you more presence. So
I would agree.
It's kind of, I'm feeling sad now.
I know this is it. This wasn't our longest show, but it was fun. I loved recapping everything, and we got some nice people stop in. Even Kim Hubbs.
Hey, Kim.
Another one of our friends from our group.
Thank you, Kim. We appreciate you stopping by, as always. Kim would be another one, be a good voice introduction for us.
Oh, yeah. He's got a great voice. And we know he can sing. Remember when he sang "Oh Canada"?
Oh, yeah. How can you forget?
We can't.
In his hockey outfit, I believe.
Yes. Oh, my God. Well, this has been an amazing first season. I'm excited for next. I've got some great people lined up. I mean, as long as I don't bleed to death.
Yeah.
It's still bleeding. I can't get to stop. Oh my God, I'm feeling weak.
I'm gonna have to edit that in post, I guess.
Oh, just leave it in. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know.
It's just me. It's just me. Everybody knows me. So if you are interested and would like to be on our show, please drop us a message. Let us know. Like we said, if you're watching and you liked it, be sure to share it. Tell your friends. we'd love to have more subscribers. So if you feel inclined to subscribe, we would be very excited about that.
Yeah, we're continuing to improve on it, but I'm sure it'll be a lot of seat of our pants again next year. Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure.
how we do things. It's more fun that way. If you want to come on the show, we'll laugh, we'll have a good time. But yeah, we're looking forward to, and we'll probably be doing a season 2 recap this summer. Take a little break during the summer.
Yes, take a break.
But good stuff ahead. We got some great guests on the lineup.
Amazing. I wish I could share. Yeah, should I share a few of them?
If you got some names, I don't know about dates just yet.
I don't have dates yet, but so Giovanni Lovera, he's a professional magician, professional speaker. He's probably the most creative person I've ever met in my life. So we got him. Meg Sitz. She just wrote this book. It came out in December. Where else? Oh, David Rogers, Fueled, Fit, and
Oh
Fired
yeah,
Up.
David. I love David.
And then wait, who else do I have? Kyle Sheely. He's a TikTok guy. I'm trying to get his inspiration. Wayne White. He's a contemporary artist. Neil Malarkey. I can't wait for him.
Oh, hi. I keep hearing about Neil.
I met him at Team 17 as well. So, I mean, it's going to be a fun season.
It's going to be a fun season. I mean, I can't imagine what we're going to learn this year from everybody. That's probably my biggest takeaway, is just how surprised I was by just how much to learn there was from each person. Not that I didn't think highly of them. It's just in the format that we're doing, I didn't think we would get that much depth out of this simple interview process.
Well, I think a lot of people shared things with us that they hadn't shared before too. So that was kind of cool, that they were feeling that they're going to let us be the person that they shared that particular thing with. So that was kind of an honor.
Yeah. The other thing is, I think next season will be twice as long, since we invited every single person back to be on the show.
Maybe some of them will forget. Some of them are older.
We will be pre-recording some people next year. Probably, maybe we're going to average about 1 live. It'll always play on Saturdays at 10:10. But if you are somebody who's like, hey, I can never be on your show at 10:10 on Saturdays, it never works. We can pre-record you at an alternate time. And, with a lot of our British guests, we definitely had to
because of the time difference, and
we had to do some time warping to make that work. And we've learned some things. You have to, when it gets around the time change, Michael ran back to his home or his office to be on the show.
It's because we hadn't had our time change yet. That was the problem with him.
Yes. So
he was kind. He was so professional, and
he was out of breath, but
so were we. But we want to thank everybody for joining us for our first season. It's been so much fun, and we're so glad that you've been here with us.
Likewise. Thank you so much, everybody. And we'll see you in 24.
Yes.
All right.
Have a great one.
Have a great one, everybody.